Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to another episode of This Week in Canada. Thank you for joining me. As you can tell, I'm not in the office, and I just wanted to do a quick update on what's going on in Quebec. So I'm just going to jump right into the news. I don't know if you heard, but Francois Legault has implemented another curfew. This is the second time this year that there is a curfew. He just had to end it up on a high note, right? January 6th of 2021, Francois Legault decides, hey, we're going to be the only place in basically the world, us in like North Korea, we're going to implement a curfew. We can't handle the cases. Our hospitalizations are through the roof, and we need to take better care of our nurses and whatnot. Okay, whatever. That lasts 5 months. It goes all the way till May. And now we have Omicron. And Omicron cases, of course, are skyrocketing. I'm not going to fearmonger. It's the sniffles for the most part. I've had the sniffles. Everybody's had the sniffles. If you get tested, you're probably going to test positive because Omicron is everywhere. Of course, this isn't leading to that many hospitalizations. If you are hospitalized with Omicron, it's likely because you are an incidental. So you go in for something else, like you break your arm, and then they test you because it's protocol. And you're positive, that's a hospitalization because of Omicron. But not to get too into it, but I wanted to talk about Dr. Jordan Peterson, who I'm sure you know. He's a thought leader in Canada. Dr. Jordan Peterson, very intelligent man. I respect his opinion quite a bit, obviously. He went on a bit of a Twitter rant on Omicron, and specifically not Omicron, but Quebec and Quebec's curfew. And what the hell is going on? So I just want to talk about an article I wrote about this and just kind of explain to you what's going on in the province. So we'll put it up on the screen here. Dr. Jordan Peterson is calling for Montrealers to resist curfew restrictions that are once again being implemented in Quebec as cases of the mild Omicron variant, I want to make that very clear, it's mild, continue to skyrocket in the province. The cure is far worse than the disease, wrote Peterson in a Twitter thread posted on Friday, the day that the province is set to impose the measure on its highly vaccinated population. As I wrote this article, I did look it up. I believe that Quebec has the highest rate of vaccination for its population outside of the Maritimes. The Maritimes do things differently. They have different lockdowns. They have high vaccination rates, a lot of trust in government. Quebec's after the Maritimes and just ahead of BC, I believe, in terms of vaccination. So just laying down the groundwork, this curfew is affecting the most populated region in Canada. The province's Premier Francois Legault announced on Thursday that a curfew would be implemented on Friday, today, New Year's Eve, starting at 10 p.m. and ending at 5 a.m. So if you were planning on having people over for New Year's, that is now illegal. You cannot have people over for New Year's unless they live alone. So you can have one person over at max if that person lives alone. Otherwise, personal meetings are restricted. No end date was given, of course, though the Premier assured that it would be the first restriction removed once the situation stabilizes. Of course, we have no idea what that means. No specifics, but just keep in mind last time it went from January 6th to May 28th. That's what we're dealing with here. A similar curfew was implemented in Quebec last January and until last May, what I just said. Thousands were ticketed and fined for leaving their homes, with the province raking in over $28 million in revenue from tickets. The province went so far as to ticket the homeless, with Legault saying that non-homeless people would pretend to be homeless to avoid tickets. This was a big, actually not that big a controversy. This happened after I believe an Inuit man, either way he was homeless, died in a porta potty because he was trying to avoid being ticketed. Obviously, Montreal is very cold in the winter, so this guy was seeking shelter to avoid being ticketed, died in a porta potty. Very dignified, right? And then for the Premier to go and say, no, we're going to still ticket homeless people because what if you're not homeless? What if you're pretending to be homeless? You know how people pretend to be homeless? Private gatherings in homes were also prohibited by the Premier, with those who live alone being those who need a caregiver being the only exceptions. Is what we just said. So this is what Jordan Peterson's saying. Do we care nothing for our liberties? No private gatherings with near 80% vaccination rate and a curfew? That's what I'm saying, Petey. Obviously, we don't care for her liberties here. I've not seen much online about any protests or anything. Just a lot of people, just a lot of jabber, a lot of yap. A lot of people saying that they're mad, but I'm sure there's going to be no action, and we're just going to roll over and show our bellies like we always do. It's getting so frustrating, and I don't know if there's anything that we could do about it. I mean, I can't go anywhere. I can't go to the States. Is Ontario that much better? I mean, it doesn't seem like it, so let's continue. Quebec leads all provinces outside the Maritimes in vaccinations. Is there no excuse too small for the totalitarianism wannabes? What the hell is wrong with this country, says Peterson. 135 hospitalizations, and Quebec citizens are subjected to draconian measures. We are doing to our society exactly what cowardly professors already let happen to the universities. Resist, Montreal. Take to the streets at 10 p.m. tonight. Defy this appalling law or lose more freedoms to the bureaucrats. This is a big ask. Obviously, he's kind of asking people to potentially get ticketed. I will be. I'm going to be walking around. I'm going to check out, see what's going on. Maybe I'll take a few videos. I can show them next week and report on what I saw on the ground. Fines for breaking curfews range between $1,000 and $6,000, but young people under 14, let's make sure that you know that you are only subjected to a fine of $500 if you get caught outside after dark. That makes perfect sense. That's totally based on science. That isn't just a rule that we made up because we made $28 million last year and we're broke as shit and rely on Alberta for equalization payments. This is not the first time that Peterson has unloaded on Canada's response to the COVID pandemic. In a November interview with Dave Rubin, Peterson lambasted his country's policies as well as its political leaders. He said, policy is being driven by people who are more afraid than they should be. Peterson said that he had spoken to a senior advisor to one of the provincial parties who told him that COVID policy is driven by nothing but opinion polls. Isn't that reassuring to know it's not really based on science, but to know that it's based on, are we going to get reelected? That's really what I like to hear, is that people with no backbone are leading COVID policy, and the public is partially responsible for this too. Get educated, people. Curfews don't work. What's the logic in a curfew? You know what I'm going to be doing? Allegedly not doing is going over before 10 p.m. and then leaving at 5 a.m. That's what everyone does. And you just keep it a little quiet, close your blinds, and then nothing's going to happen. You're just getting more people, bottlenecking people, funneling them into people's homes before 10 p.m. Open your brains, guys. And this is the worst part of it all, right? Premier remains popular and appears invincible. So despite the controversy, the ruling coalition Avenir Québec remains popular in Quebec. Recent figures show the party handedly outcompeting their contemporaries, the CAQ, currently poll around 46% with the Quebec Liberals, Quebec Solidaire, and Parti Québécois all trailing by at least 20 points, as if those alternatives are that much better than the CAQ. I mean, this has to be the most dysfunctional province in the country. I know I live in a bubble. I understand I live in a metropolitan area. I'm a young guy. A lot of my friends are much more liberal than I am. Some of them. So I'm not exposed to too many alternative viewpoints. But I know a few really keb people from like the boonies and stuff. And they hate this. I don't know who this is appealing to. Obviously, I'm not an expert on Quebec. I've only lived here for 5 or 6 years. But I don't understand who this government's serving. I know this isn't a particularly funny episode, but I'm kind of peeved. The party seems so untouchable, in fact, that it remains likely that the party will win a majority in the coming 2022 election. Quebec is still the only province in Canada to have imposed a curfew during the pandemic. So that's the state of things in Quebec. We'll put the article up on the screen the whole time. I'm sure it just was, thanks to our great editor. And we'll put it in the links below if you want to check it out. I wrote this in a fury. I just very angrily got my facts together and wrote this. I mean, there's nothing funny about it. I know this is supposed to be a somewhat comedic show, but the last curfew was already one of the worst times of my life, and now I'm going to have to go through it. Although this time I have a sweetie, which is really nice. I have a girlfriend now. But anyhow, I just wanted to let you know what the situation was. I want to wish you a very happy new year. Wish you a Merry Christmas. Christ is born. Hallelujah. And see you next week. Before you go, why don't you go to the links below, check out my article, and why don't you give us a donation if you got a little Christmas money left over. I know the holiday seasons, lots of gay Yuletides and spending and whatever, tithing, whatever. But if you have an extra $5, why don't you give it to us, and you can experience my article without the advertisements. Isn't that sweet? Also, you should check out our Rumble, the Rumble Clips page. If you're watching us on Rumble right now, hello. Thank you very much for doing so and supporting us. And become a member. Give us a donation. Check us out. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Roberto Wickrell Cruz. I love you. Goodbye.